Morning. Hi Helen. Hi Bev. I see you're tagging Jennifer. Let's see if she actually picks it up. Hi Grace, Lynn. I didn't hear Phil give a shout out to, he said he was going to tell everybody I was going live, but he's probably had too much on his mind, so he probably forgot. But yeah, 2 demos, and they were wonderful ones as well, weren't they? Absolutely beautiful. Oh, she's here. Well done. Hiya. Hi, Jennifer. Right. So 3 shows down, isn't it? Yeah, because he's done 3 already. So we've got 7 more to go. Phil's on again at 1 p.m. with Trudy's new collection, and then Karen's doing the last live hour of the Trace Sheet collection at 2 p.m. Then Karen's doing Trudy's second show at 5 p.m. and Phil's launching the Flawless Media one-day special at 6 p.m. Then I'm going in for 9 o'clock. Goodness knows what I'm going to be like, because last night at 9 o'clock I was yawning my head off. So we'll see. And I was awake early today, which is really annoying. So that's funny. And then tomorrow morning we've got 10 o'clock for the Flawless Media, and then 2 p.m. at Flawless Media, and that's me. So Phil and Karen get to go home today. So let's crack on. So Flawless Media. So Phil originally, yes, they are, Bev. Yes, yeah. So Flawless Media was launched a couple of years ago now with the ombre blending pastes, and he hasn't actually, did he? Okay, Jennifer. Yeah, so, and he hasn't actually managed to source anybody to make the products that he wanted since then. So yes, you're absolutely right. Some of the colours here, and you can tell by the pots. So these are our pigments and these are our paints. They are in the same pots as Indigo Blue, because Indigo Blue have made them for us. And there are some duplicates, but there are some brand new colours as well. And if you haven't bought any, then obviously this is a good start. There's 20 colours in each, and I've actually I did sort them. I should have sorted them better, shouldn't I? So we've got in the pigments. So the pigments are a mixture of dye and pigment. Well, pigment and mica powder. That's what they are. There's no dye. Pigment and mica. And so we've got, these are kind of your metallics, if you like. So you've got obsidian, you've got choco oxide, new silver, warm copper, and new gold. So those are in a set of 5, and then there are 2. I think there's a set of 20 as well. So then we've got the more kind of brighter colours here in set 2. Here's another one. So these are set 2, and then and in this one you've got cerulean sky. I don't really know how you say that. You've got firecracker. This one's lovely. African sunset, orchid whisper, and lagoon pool. That's one of my favourites. I really like that one. And you've got set 3, which has a must-have in it. So set 3, your must-have, as I mentioned yesterday in yesterday's Facebook Live, is your Lunar Pearl. And that one is just definitely worth its weight in gold, that one. If you don't get any, make sure you get that, or if you don't get a set, get that one separate. I am selling them separately. Then you've also got so's Phil, Lilac Bouquet and Serene Sage, and this one's a bit like ballet slippers, I think, Summer Coral. And then you've got your olive, which is a bit like Olive Grove, I think. I don't know for definite because I haven't compared them. Then you've got set 4. So this is obviously a set 4 with what's left. So you've got your pale gold, which is more like a yellow, a bit like Buttercup. Then you've got Cornflower Petal. You've got Seafoam. You've got Splendid Scarlet. I know that one. And you've got Enchanted Wisteria. So those are your 20 colours that you've got. They are. They're for me, powders are my go-to. They're both saying powders are so versatile, and you can do so much. Yeah, powders for me, there's more techniques. I'm more comfortable with powders than I am with paint. But Phil loves these paints, and the first set of paints that we've got all metallics. I actually prefer translucent paints, but Phil likes his metallics. The metallics look absolutely fabulous on grey board, and if you're using them on, say, the Lock and Key dies, and also because it's boring, isn't it, purple and blue? I mean, there's a few purples, so I mean, which one would you call purple? They're both purple. That's the thing. That's why you have to be different. Yeah, so Phil like his metallics, so they're lovely on the grey board, lovely on your die cuts, and look lovely on your cogs die cuts as well. So again, these are in sets. So sorry, I should have done this beforehand, shouldn't I? So my set 1, these, which follows the line similarly to your powders. So and these are 25ml pots, these are 20ml pots, so there's a lot in them. So this is your Luna. So this is going to be a similar thing to your Luna Pearl with your powder. So once again, you can add this to lots of different things to make it pearlescent, so it'll lighten it and make it pearlescent. But do remember that this is an acrylic paint. If you mix this with water, it's water based, so it'll wash off. Sometimes the pigments will stain, but it will wash off. Once acrylic's dry, that's it. So you can use they are multi-surface, so they will cure on fabric in time. They'll go on a grey board, they go on MDF. I believe you can use them on glass. I know Rachel Fisher, who used to be on the Indigo Blue design team, she's used them on pottery. I can sell paint, big fan. Oh, I don't understand what you're saying, Jennifer, sorry. So we've got the Luna there, we've got the gunmetal, we've got the copper, we've also got the silver, and we've also got the gold. So those are your metallics. Okay, and then we've got our set 2, which that's one of my favourites. There is a lime that Indigo Blue do, which is absolutely stunning. So number 2, and number 2 there. So these are kind of fresher colours, if you like. Not that one. These are fresher colours here. So this is your Lime Crush. You've got what's that one? Coral. One of the purples. So not normal purple, but that one is royal purple. Then you've got your Hot Pink, and you've got the Secret Lagoon, which it's very, very similar to the Lagoon Pool here in your paint, in your powders. But I really love that. I love anything kind of tealy. Then you've got your set number 3. Let's pull 4 out. My son was very helpful yesterday, and he turned everything over. So I have it this way so I can see the colours. So in set 3, you've got this, which is your olive paint. So that's going to be similar to your powder, your Olive Grove. So obviously, if you want to coordinate between, say, something that you've painted watercoloured, you can use your powders, and then you can use some grey board to coordinate with it as well from the paints. Obviously you can still use your powders on your grey board, but it's probably better to, well, it is better to gesso first if you're going to use your powders on, but the paints you can just go straight on. I'm doing personally, I'm just doing them individual. I'm not doing sets. I think Honeypot might be doing sets. There's definitely sets and no individuals on the TV. So you've got olive, you've got mink, this is your teal, vintage gold, and then this one is your burnt orange. And then finally you've got your set 4, which just about fits in my pot. And in set 4 you've got your heliotrope, electric blue, which reminds me of yeah, Phil does have an electric blue card, doesn't he? Summer poppy, you've got fresh green, and which might be similar to fresh grass from indigo blue, I'm not sure, and your rose pink. So there you go, 20 pots of paint and 20 pots of pigment powders. Don't know what you guys are on about. Right, okay, so that's that. So obviously we've got our spray bottles, and I am out of stock on my website with these, but I am going to put an order in after we finish, I think, because I need some more borders as well. Oh, talking about borders, let's go off at a tangent. You know those beautiful borders that are sold out on the telly, and I've sold out as well. I've got to get some more. Because they're almost 8 inches long, you can use them with the Studio Light. Where is it? Here it is. I've got some of these on my website. Some of the edge dies. I've got 4 different sets, and so you can use that one to cut the holes in, and then you can use one of Phil's edge dies to actually make sure that they go into your planner. So I've cut them all out because I think they look rather lovely, don't they? Obviously using the tray chic papers. They look fab. So I'm really pleased with that. So that's that. I have done swatches for the... Oh, I don't want to lose everything. Everything's stacked up behind me here. There we go. I have done swatches of the colours as well. Again, they're going to go in my journal because I've got a journal that's just for swatches. They're not the neatest swatches in the world. You know, I could have drawn round things, but I haven't had a lot of time because we only got these on Wednesday. So these are your swatches, and I always would suggest that if you're using a pigment powder or a mica, something that's got mica in it, that you actually do a swatch on black and on watercolor card. This is the new watercolor card that we've got on the shows. So it's more absorbent than your regular card, and won't kind of buckle so much. And this is your super smooth watercolor card here. So these are your pigment powders, and you can see that I mean, most of them are the same on both colors. We're not doing so much duotones in here, but if we kind of wiggle them a little bit, you can see that you've got the luster going on in there. And then these are your paints. This is straight out of the pot. Straight out of the pot. You can obviously water them down a little bit because you can do washes and things with the paints. But this is straight out of the pot, out of the lid actually. And again, because they're metallic, you're going to see them on black card. The translucence you wouldn't see on black card, which is maybe why Phil wanted the metallics first. And again, you've got that lovely pearlescent shimmer to them. Really absolutely beautiful. So I would suggest that you do your swatches, and also it's a good, if you are collecting, you know, a few at a time, then it's a good way to figure out, you know, what you've got and what you need. And also if you have got some indigo blue, then you'll be able to kind of see which ones actually are similar. So also on the show, I mean, Phil's got his 3 stencils, which I will be using as well. and it's really weird because I've sold out of some of the stencils on my show, but I've still got some left of his, and I can't get any more at the moment. So I imagine that Honeypot are struggling to get some more stock, or Sentimentally yours are. So these are the ones that are on Phil's show. So I will be using some of these as well, because obviously it's extra stencils, and you know that's the one he's just used, and you know I can't wash them all up in between. So we've got this is your what's it called, mesh. That's the mesh one. Then you've got the grid one, which is really cool actually if you put ink on it, mist it, and then take a print. Obviously if you're going to spread texture paste through it, then it's going to be just the little dots in the middle. And this is your wire one. So, and to coordinate with those, we've got dies as well. Now I don't have mag sheets for mine because they're only one die, so I haven't bothered. So this is the Moroccan, and this is the one that I used yesterday on the Facebook card. Oh, that's Studio Light, Bev. You get reinforcers in the Studio Light sets. So each set of edges has a different reinforcer. So for example, this one has hearts, and then there's the page ones as well. They've got different reinforcers on as well. There's loads of dies on my website from Studio Light. And yeah, Elizabeth Craft Designs do too, but I haven't got ECD on my website. I've just got Studio Light, because obviously I work for Studio Light as well. So yeah, that's the Moroccan. There's your grid die, and these are all A6 dies. And there's your mesh die, and then this is my favourite, I think, which is the wired one. Is that? Just think, looks like that's got card in it, but it hasn't. So those are the 4 dies. There are more of these to come, but they didn't make it to the show. Oh, and also on the show we've got the stitch torn rectangles as well, and we've also got the big backgrounds on the show. There is something. Oh yeah, all the new things that we've got are the mediums. So we've got Phil loves his gesso, so we've got white gesso and black gesso. And we've also got texture medium as well. So this dries clear, so we're going to be using that. That's everything I think that's on the show. Oh, hang on, Facebook's frozen on me. Let's see if we're still there. Yes, we are. Right. Yeah, I like the chain link stencil as well. Yeah, but I'd have to import it, Jennifer. But this is the trouble, because you're importing from... Jennifer's asking me if she wishes I did ECD. Importing from outside of the UK, you get hit with so many import duties. I carry fairy hugs because... I'm the only UK stockist besides the craft store, well, Crate Craft as will be, and so there's no competition for me. There are other companies within the UK that do ECD, so I don't tend to do that. I imported some Studio Light because I couldn't get what I wanted from the UK distributor, but again I got hit with import duties, which is a lot of money. And when you're competing against the Crate Craft prices, I just don't have the money or the space to do it. So anyway, that's why. Right, so let's crack on with some techniques, shall we? Oh, I've got loads to show you. I'm going to do little ones because then I can show you more, I think. So this is just an A6 piece, and this is the new watercolor card, and it is, I'm not sure how you'll get it actually, it is quite almost like textured on the edges, a bit like the, what do they call it, Indigo Blue have the, you know, the, they have their kind of, it's like t-shirt type of card. I don't know, it's a bit raggedy anyway around the edges, so we're going to use that, and we're going to go for that stencil that Phil had, and we're just going to wing it. We're not going to kind of secure it or anything, or shall we? Let's just secure it at the top. Don't wing it too much, Julia. So I can't do loads and loads of techniques because we just run out of time. But we'll at least give you a taste. I do plan on my launch hour at 9 o'clock today to just do techniques during the hour, because you know it's 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. Great. Right, so let's do some mixing. So what can you do with the powders? You can do loads of the powders, absolutely loads of the powders. So let's do a different colour to what Phil did. I can't remember, I don't know what Phil did because I missed that bit of the show. Oh, I love this one. This is my favourite, the Cornflower Petal. Absolutely adore that one. But let's not go for that one because I always go for that one. Let's go for this one, which is your Orchid Whisper. So like I say, I keep mine upside down. And if you're going to keep them upside down, make sure that you give them a good old tap before you actually open them. It's coming up a bit, but we'll see how we get on. So I'm going to grab some of the texture medium. And I'm going to pop some onto my craft sheet. That might not be enough, but it doesn't matter. I'm not very good at judging. You think after all these years I'd be able to judge how much I need. Now, the more powder you add, the more pigment. So the darker it's going to be. The less powder that you add, it's going to be lighter. But remember, this is going to dry clear, so you want to mix it really well. So let's go with that much, because it is highly pigmented. Give that a little wash. Put the lid on. Don't leave the lid off, whatever you do. And give it a mix. Now it's a powder, so you just need to mix it quite carefully until it's bound, and then you can give it a really good mix, because otherwise it poofs everywhere. And it can be quite grainy, so that's why you give it a good mix. Get that away from there. You can mix more than one colour at a time. So for example, if I've got pink there, and I don't want pink, I want purple. So let's go for a blue, because we can. Let's just give that a wipe so it's dry. This is just one of the woodware shaping tools that I use to scoop it out. It's really handy. So we're going to make it a lightish purple. So immediately we've made ourselves a new colour. This colour doesn't exist. And you just need to, if you are combining your colours, in fact if you're just doing it straight off, you do need to mix enough for your project. I say this is only an A6, but it might not be enough because there's quite big holes in this stencil. If we were using the what's it called, the grid one, then we would need less. Make sure it's well mixed. And now we've got a light purple. And then we just put that through. If you want it to be a little bit kind of mixed, then you can do. Oh, nearly got it right. Steady on, girl. If I wanted to put a frame around it, I'm not too worried around about the edges. So I just want to make sure that that centre bit is well covered. Excellent. So I've even got a bit left, look. I could even cover the whole lot. Get in, girl. Don't overwork it, which is my attempt. I always do that. I always overwork it. What did you use first? I'm using the texture medium, and I added Orchid Whisper and Cerulean Sky. Okay. So carefully peel off my tape. Obviously my tape is not going to be usable again. Oh, let's get my bin out. I'm going to be washing up tomorrow night, aren't I? Tonight rather, after my show. Ugh. don't like doing 9 o'clock. So we peel that away. And remember, this is going to dry different to how it looks now. So let's just move that out of the way. It's going to be nice and glossy, and it's going to have that pearlescent finish, and that will take maybe 1 to 2 hours to dry, I should think. The smaller pieces will be quicker. So where am I going to put everything? Right, let's just move. I've got this bit here. Let's grab this. So you don't want to waste that, because we can always do a Leone as well. And so a Leone is, grab a piece of just the white, and you do get, it's like a bonus, so it's worth doing this. Just mist with a bit of water. I want to mist away from you so it doesn't go on my computer. And we can pop that on there, like so. And grab a stencil brush. And it is worth misting it with water because it dries quite quickly. And you can use your stencil brush to just work this through. So you kind of clean your stencil and you get yourself a twofer as well. I mean, we've got extra little bits on there that we could actually put through there as well. I might regret this, but let's dab it about a bit. Well, it's not want not. So that's darker now because I've got the original on there. So that's our bonus. And that won't be as raised as the other one because obviously we've used a brush, but it will be nice and smooth and glossy and pearlescent when it dries as well. So that's 2. Same thing, but 2 pieces. So I really like doing that with the texture paste. So if we get all the mucky ones out of the way first, then we do some cleaner ones. I say by cleaner, painting and stuff. And then some of them might be dry by the end, so I'll be able to show you if you remind me, because I always forget things that I'm supposed to do at the end. Right. Okay, so what else can you do? So very similar but different. We take another piece here, and let's take this one, which is your wired up, I think it's called. We will pop it just a little bit of tape at the top. If you want to, you could put some down here. Remember, I'm only doing A6. I have got some that are dry, actually. Let's just show you while we're doing this. So that technique that I've just done, this is the full thing with the legume pearl. Ignore that bit there because I made a mess there. So you can see that's lovely and glossy, and it's slightly raised. Again, this is on the watercolor card. So if you were to put, say, if you were to put a frame around that, whatever frame you want to, pop a sentiment on, job's a good one. It's done, isn't it? It's sorted. And then this bonus one as well. That looks lovely, doesn't it? It's more subtle. You know, if you've got little imperfections that you don't like, that's where you put your sentiment, or you can put a flag or something like that on there. So that's that technique, but obviously a different colour. So again, we're going to go with the texture paste. Texture medium. Remember, this dries clear. So we're just going to slap some on through the stencil. Looks like I've got something either on the stencil, probably on the stencil actually, or on the paste, but it'll be all right, don't worry. This is where you can put it back in the pot if you use too much, because I'm not actually mixing anything in it. There's a lot of spreading involved. I'm sorry about this. This is where they'll be doing numbers and things on the telly box. try not to be too wasteful. I can feel a background giveaway coming up because I'm going to have so many backgrounds that I don't know what to do with. A giveaway homework box. Okay, so that's nice, and you do need to work reasonably quickly when you're doing this, so it's always good to have a bit of a plan. And also, it's not do what I tell you, not do what I do. It's a good idea to clean around the top of your tub before you put your lid on if you're going to leave it for a while, because the number of texture pastes I've thrown away because I've made a mess is just unbelievable. So let's go for this is our Cornflower Petal, my favourite colour, I think, although I do like the Lagoon Pool. So we're just taking one of these little, these are one of the little Cosmic Shimmer brushes, and we're just scattering some of this over here. You don't want to do this with air conditioning. There must be a breeze somewhere in this house because it's going this way. You don't really want big globules, but you want a good amount. So you just flick your brush like that, and then that's clean. You don't need to worry about that. Then we'll go for let's go for a pink. This is Summer Coral. It's a really good habit to, if you keep your pots upside down, it's a really good habit to just give them a tap before you open them. Scattering this. So we're going for pinks and blues on this one. I have got one of these that's dry as well. That big's too big. I get very impatient with it. See? Impatient. That'll knock off when it's all dry. Then we'll go for, let's go for a metallic. Let's go for the copper, warm copper. Sometimes as well, when they've been upside down, they don't always settle when you tap them, and sometimes it just goes poof as you touch them, just like that. Poof. Okay, that's that one. And let's go for a nice subtle green, I think. So we go for the Seafoam one. See, that one hasn't tapped down. Give that a... There we go. That's me being impatient. Big globules. Okay, I think that's enough. Remember, where all we can see is, just step away from it, Julia. Where all we can see is clear, that's going to dry clear. Actually, I might go for one more colour. Where's that nice light sunset, African sunset? Let's go for a little bit of that. Do I want that? No, let's not go for that. Let's go for all decisions. This one. Lilac Bouquet. Colours are lush, yes. Oh, too much. See, don't do as I do, do as I say. I don't know why it's going over that way. There's no air conditioning in this room. Right, that's it now. So I've used 5 colours. So if you were to have a set of 5, you can use all 5 colours. So now what we do is we just take this off. That's all there is. That is all there is to this, and a bit of patience, because then you have to wait for it to dry. And what happens is that, because all the pigment pounds have got a binder in them, so the binder is going to bind them to the texture paste. And of course, if I use a bigger piece of card, I wouldn't have to clear up every time, but hey ho. And what happens is, as the texture paste starts to dry, it draws in the colour from the pigment, and it starts to move around your background. And you know, you can do it with pixie powders as well, but it's just to show you can absolutely do it with these as well. I wouldn't knock anything off here until it's dry, because otherwise you might get it in the gaps, and you don't want to do that. I've got a bit of texture paste underneath there now, which is not what I wanted. Okay, right, so I've got to put that somewhere where it doesn't stick, because this is a rental house and the landlord will go balmy, so let's put it there. But we've got this on here as well, so we want to use that. We don't want to waste that. So as per, and this is a really nice one when this one dries. Clean this up just a little bit. You do get through quite a bit of the kitchen roll. So another piece of A6 here. So we're going to give it another little mist of water away from my computer. Then pop it onto our card again. And you can sometimes get mud. But sometimes mud does look quite nice. So get my stencil brush again. Gosh, 37 minutes already. So if you want to, you can go around where the purple areas are and do the purple areas first. And we could then, I don't know, go to the pink areas. Try and keep them separate if you want to. But of course, you can just go for it. All the way over. I don't actually have a lot of texture paste left on this. But it is a bonus, and again it's something that's usable in the background. Okay. Phil's thinking, I wouldn't do that. I'd throw that away. But again, that's going to dry with a pearlescence, and it's like a bonus background that you've got. So let's clear this up, and I'll show you a couple of, I've got a dry like that. Should really be used by towel instead of loads of kitchen roll, but I want to take my towel with me, and I haven't got time to wash it. There we go. Right, so that one. Oh, where is it? Bottom of my pile, isn't it? It's there. Right. Yep. There we go. So this one has got Choco Oxide, Olive, African Sunset and Orchid Whisper on it. So you can see that it's bound it. Some of the bits might be a little bit loose. No, that is actually grabbed it all, and they've moved. There's a little bit of glitter as well from another one. And then this is the mop up. So again, this is still very usable. It's nice and smooth and pearlescent, and it kind of works as well. That's that one. What you can also do as well is, there's just loads that you can do. Let's grab this one again. So you've got a few choices as well, with because you can do things like you can add gilding flakes to them, to the texture paste as well, which gives you an interesting finish. But Phil doesn't have any gilding flakes, so we're not going to do that. Let's grab this one. Oh, I know what we'll do. Let's do a smaller one, because then we can perhaps do two. Shall we? Because what we could do is we could put one at the top and have a sentiment at the bottom here. So let's just do a small one. Tape. So let's have this one here. So this is, I can't remember what it's called. This is obviously the stencil that's got 4 different patterns on it, which all mix with the stamps. So this is on Phil's show at the moment. Okay, so we're going to just work in that area there, so we don't need very much. So let's just go for, where am I going to do it? Let's do it there. That'll be enough. Let's go for that. And so we can take something like our rainbow crystals. We can also take, which one am I doing? Oh yes, I'm not doing that one. Let's do this one first. Let's take, instead of taking a powder, let's take a paint, because you can absolutely do this with paint. So let's take, which one is this? This is burnt orange. I have to remember that because I turn mine over, everything goes in the lid, which is a bit annoying, but I will like to see my colours. Let's take another spatula. Don't need much. These are highly pigmented. That's far too much, but we go with that. The lid on. Actually, I've knocked these over a few times, but because they're so thick, I've not got in mess. It's not spilt at all. So now we're going to mix that together. Just be careful that when you are adding a paint to a texture paste, because paint is wet, it can actually change the dynamics and the consistency of the texture paste. So it can, if you put too much paint in, you don't need to anyway because it's highly pigmented, but if you did put too much in, it could seep underneath there more than normal. So you just spread that through there. And remember, it's going to dry clear and glossy. It's not going to be this kind of dull colour, so it's going to be brighter. I've got some left. Let's just keep that there a second. I'm going to remove this. You could do exactly the same as what we just did with the powders, so you could actually sprinkle some powder over there if you wanted to, and that would work. So when we remove this, I'm not going to keep on doing the mopping up because it takes too long. There's not a lot there anyway, so we've got that. So what you can do is take a piece of paper. And we can take some of our superfine glitter, our rainbow crystals, which has got a bit of interference in it. I am running really low on my glitter. It should be all right because this is fine, so you don't use much of it. So when that dries, and I'll show you one that I've got dry, I've got this glitter here on the edge here. This will wipe off. It's just where it's been on the low tack tape. So that's going to have dimension, it's going to have pearlescence, and it's going to have that lovely sparkle from the glitter. And it's hard to think that all starts with the texture medium. So that's that one. And I'll show you one of those in a moment. I've tidied up a bit. What you can also do is, before I just show you something else, what you can also do is, let's just take this one. No, let's take a small one, this one. I've got a little bit of this left here. It's not a lot actually, so let's just add a little bit more to it. You might as well cover the whole area. It's not a big stencil, so that should be plenty. This is where you keep on adding to it, and you, oh, that's the glitter top. You keep on adding more to it, and then you realise that, you know, you've got too much for the next one, and then you add a little bit more to it and a little bit more to it. So let's just clean that top of that glitter. Otherwise, all my glitter will just stick to the top. Dear, get a life, Julia. So we could mix that in there, and then we'll have a paler orange. But of course, we can also add, if we want to, we can add powder to it or more paint to it. So this is our Choco Oxide. So obviously the permutations are endless with this. I don't want too much brown. I'll do. Me and that glitter lid, I need to put the lid on the glitter before I try and put that glitter lid on anything else. Oh dear. Let's mix this in. So now we're going to have kind of I don't know, it's a browny one. I don't know what colour it's going to. It's actually a little bit minky, isn't it? Can you see it? I'm not too far up, am I? It's funny, yesterday I'd got something right over there out of shot and saying, you could do this and you could do that, and not realising that nobody could see what I was talking about. You can actually mix in glitter as well, so that's what I was going to do. So we can mix in, I'm not going to mix in loads, but we can mix in glitter. Glitter is quite a dry product, so sometimes, you know, it will dry it up and you might want to add more to it. So this is going to be nice and interesting when this dries. So this is going to have, and of course the rainbow crystals have got the Aurora Borealis kind of feel to it, a bit like the crystal Aurora in the bigger ones, bigger particles. So so that's going to be nice and interesting when it dries. And if you just use it with the clear, it's like a greeny mix of colours on black, and then you've got the lovely glitter on white as well. And I've got some of those that are dry as well. So look at that, perfect coverage. How am I on the TV tonight? Well, I'm driving there, Jennifer. Do you mean who? Is this your predictive text? What will I be like at 9 o'clock? I'll be blinking useless. I think I'm with Janice tonight as well, so I'm doomed. The nutter that is Janice. So, yeah. So I would definitely get, you know, use that and get some of that going as well. It does look very kind of dull and not very interesting at the moment, but like I say, once it dries it'll look absolutely fabulous. Let's put this on here so, and clear up a bit. Me with Janice, I never know what she's going to come out with. She keeps me on my toes, she really does. So there's, yeah, a lot of clearing up we're doing here, and I'll show you a couple that are dry with the techniques that we've just done. Obviously, you know, they're going to look different with different colours as well, and I find that although I'm kind of, I lean towards the teals and the blues and sometimes the purples, whatever colour you use will look different. Oh, there is another one I want to show you as well. Might have to do some washing up in a second. Right, so let's go to my little pile. Big pile rather. Right, so showing you that one, That's the paints. So if you just mix the texture paste with the rainbow crystals on its own and put them on black, this is what you get. So you've got all that lovely Aurora coming out. In fact, this isn't Aurora crystals, it is actually Lavender Meadow, but because it's on black, you don't get the lavender colour, you just get all the glitter, the interference colour. That's the difference between black and white. Now look, I ran over this with my chair, which is a bit disappointing. So that's my waste from that. Hot pink and burnt orange. Oh, nice, nice. So this is Orchid Whisper powder with the rainbow crystals over. So mix it with the powder, spread it through, and then sprinkle the glitter over. So obviously when you do it, when you do it this way, so when you mix the glitter first and then spread it through, that glitter's totally encased. When you sprinkle it over second, although it grabs, you do sometimes get some of it coming off. Okay, so just remember that there's two, but obviously it's more glittery to do it second than it is to do it first. And that's the waste from that one. This one is 2 different colours, basically, just through one of the little ones. So those are paints rather than powders. I'll show you. That's actually stamping with the paints, because you can do that. I'm not going to show you this one, but I'll tell you what this one is. This one is texture paste through, just on its own. Then this is the Cosmic Copper embossing powder. So you heat set it while the texture paste is still wet, and it bubbles a little tiny bit. This is only a little stencil, so you can't see the bubbles very much. There's a little bubble just there. I don't know if you can see that one. No, you won't get the demo finished. So yeah, so it's really cool, and that's a nice technique to do. So here I've actually mixed the paints just like I did with the burnt orange, and I've got 3 different colours. So we've got the royal purple, we've got the hot pink, and the lime crush. And obviously where they meet, so I put that one on, put that one on, put that one on, then I spread along the middle on each one with clean spatulas, and where they meet you've got a different kind of set of colours. I do like the lime crush with the coral. That makes a beautiful orange, and that's my waste from that. This was me using up some spare, so like I did on the one that I put the glitter on, wherever it's gone, I actually did sprinkle a little bit of powder on top as well, so you've got the 2 different things going on, the paint and the powder. That's my waste from that. Let's do this one. This one's a nice one to do. Oh, I need to let me just do a little bit of washing up. I need that stencil, because that stencil is absolutely stunning. I've got a little bowl down beside me here just with water in. So as long as you pop your stencil into some water, you can clean it whenever you're ready. You just don't want the texture medium to dry on your stencil. Okay, let's move that. Right, so let's have a bigger piece of card for this. And I did, yes, I've got a bigger piece. I'm just using the hot press watercolor card. Don't worry if your stencils do get a little bit dirty. I'm sure Phil's got a clean one that he keeps specially just because it's a clean one that he can get out and stroke. But I love this stencil too. You've got none. I can't order any more though. There's no more on the trade site, and I'm out of stock, which is a bit disappointing. The trouble is, there's so many new products that I could only afford so much. But you need to buy so I can order some more. Right, so what we're going to do, let's stick with I was going to stick with metallics, but the sample I'm going to show you has got metallics on. So let's make it interesting. Let's go for my favourite, which is the Lime Crush. And we'll go for the Secret Lagoon. And, oh, what else? What will contrast with it? That's too similar. Olive. Oh, that's one of the golds, isn't it? That's gold, or vintage gold. I'm getting to know the colours now. Vintage gold. No, let's go for the gold. Right, decisions made on colours. Right, so we're going to start with like we've done a lot. We're going to just start with some clear texture paste or texture medium. I'm so pleased this is clear. Phil's first texture medium that he's gone for clear rather than white, because I think that the clear just it gives you more possibilities. So imagine using this on acetate, because then you'd be able to see through it. Obviously, it'd be lovely. Right, let's get a good coverage on this. I say you don't kind of put this on and then go away for 10 minutes and leave your stencil in place. You don't want to do that, because you'll rip your card when you take this off, and then you'll struggle to get the texture paste off, because it does start to dry quite quickly. Right, I'm going to put that back in there. Try and keep the top quite clean if I can. And now we'll have a little bit of fun. Not that we're not having fun anyway, because we are. I haven't even touched some of the really basic techniques yet. I'm just doing texture paste, aren't I? Let's make this the last texture paste one. Right, so let's just take some out of the lid. So let's go for a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, and a little bit more. I remember doing this on a pen tart show and it was so effective. And then we go for our lagoon, secret lagoon. I want to call it lagoon pool, but that's the other one. Oh, look at that paint. Look at the structure in that. That shows you how thick the paint is. So let's have a little bit of this. Do that. I have to be careful because it's so full, it squirts out all over me. Getting a right mess. Feel a bit. Look at my fingers. You've got 3 of each. Look at my fingers, I'm covered in it now. Right. I am sat here with the towel on my lap as well. Right. One more. Stop messing about, Julie. Get on with it. You've got to be quicker than this. Look at that colour. This is just so fabulous. So let's have a little bit of that there. This is we want to do one of my favourites. Right, that's plenty. Don't do any more, Julia. This is where I get mucky again when I put this lid on. It's only because I store them upside down. I shouldn't do really, but I like to see my colours. I ought to do a swatch. That's what I ought to do. I ought to do a swatch and stick it on the top. That would be far more sensible. Or even, because it goes on all surfaces, even just put a little bit on the top. Anyway, so now what we're going to do is we're going to just spread some of this colour about. Look at how that spreads. It goes all over the place. It's already started merging a bit. I'm not going to wipe it off on my towel because my towel will just be covered in paint. So just wipe it a little bit of the gold, and I'll merge it together in a minute. There we go. So now we'll just pull that down. I don't want it to be too muddy. Normally I don't actually splurge it all over the place. And remember, where it's white, it's going to dry clear, and sometimes it's nice having those clear areas. Right, so let's just tidy that up a little bit. I need some more kitchen roll. Right, and we'll pull this off. You'll probably hear it grab as I actually take the stencil off, because its stencil's been on a little bit longer than it should have been. You will find you need quite a bit of low tack tape for these techniques. I hope I've got some more. And then we take this off. So although it looked quite a mess, and like where we've got these white areas, that's going to dry clear, but can you see we've got a beautiful merge of the colours? You can already see how it's going to dry, lovely and pearlescent. Right, so let's just put that down somewhere so I don't. And I'm definitely not going to waste the bits of this. I'm going to get my other piece of card here, and I'm going to mist this, because this is lovely paint, this. And we're going to pop it on here, and we're going to get our stencil brush out, and we're going to make sure that we get all that lovely paint off there. Again, it will probably merge, and it will probably be, you'll see a dominant colour coming through. I do like this line crush. It's always a good idea to kind of give it a mist with water. Can't get the end of it. Get my pokey tool. So again, that's going to be something that we're going to be able to use. So I'll show you one that's dry, that I almost showed you while we were going through it. Don't worry about your mat. Your mat will be absolutely fine. So this is the one that I did, and this has got the metallics on. So this has got new silver, new gold, and copper. So you can see where it's just white there. So, but you've still got that glossy finish to it. And that's my mop up from that. So if you took, again, if we take one of our frames, popped our frame around it, pop that on a card, that's going to be absolutely stunning, isn't it? Absolutely stunning. It's a case of playing. You know, yesterday I was playing with my jelly plate, and I'm not very good at a jelly plate because I don't do it very often. And I will show you what I've done with it though. Yeah, it wasn't brilliant, but it did work. So also, that's the grid one. That's Lavender Meadow and Superfine Glitter with Enchanted Wisteria, Radiant Lustre, which you can just see that it's a little bit purple. But again, it doesn't really matter that it's Lavender Meadow, it's just something I had left over. So that's that one. You can also do, you know, like with your pixie powders, where you pop the stencil down, sprinkle the powders over, then you mist it. You can do that with these as well. So that's exactly what I've done there. So there's no texture paste on that, it's quite flat. But there's no dye in the powder. It's pigment that gives you the colour on these, so it doesn't explode into lots of different colours, but you absolutely can do that technique on there, which is quite nice to do. So my jelly plate backgrounds, like I say, I'm not brilliant at doing this. I've done a couple. So that's with the rose stencil and a couple of the paints. I didn't not jot down what the paints were, but they are the paints, because somebody was asking if you could use the paints on the jelly plate. But yeah, you absolutely can. And then this is the Moroccan die cut that I've just torn into 2 pieces and popped that on there as well. And this is me just playing around, and I've got failed attempts in the background, and I've just put Seedless Preserves Distress Ink onto that, misted it, and popped that on the top. And actually, as a background, I think that kind of works. Okay. So, yeah. What else can you do with them? Absolutely loads. So let's go to some of the simple techniques that don't require me to use my texture paste. Look at the state of my fingers. Are we all right still watching? How are we doing for time? Oh, over an hour. We won't be going for much longer though. Right, so let's just get, I'm just going to get a scrap of card rather than get a big bit of card. Let's see. Get some scraps, and to get some scraps of just any old black, it doesn't matter what it is. Right, just some scraps. So we've got obviously in our powders, we know that we've got 22 powders, and you've seen the kind of colours, you've seen my swatches, and yesterday I showed you, get that off there, things lying everywhere. Yesterday I showed you my palette, and so my palette has got all of the powders in it. I always struggle to open this, don't know why. It's this side, there we go. It's got all the colours in it, and these are your 4 different sets. And so I was talking to you yesterday about this one, the Lunar Pearl, and I've said today as well that, you know, if you're only buying one, this is the one that you really need to have. See you in a bit, my lovely. I probably won't, I don't know if I'll see you later. I'll try and get there by 7. So yeah, Lunar Pearl. So Lunar Pearl. Let's get my paintbrush, or a paintbrush. We get a big paintbrush. So when you want to kind of get your watercolours going, just take a damp brush and you can pop some into your palette, and then add a little bit more water. Oops. And then mix it. And obviously I've had a little bit in here before, which is absolutely fine. And we have got the big back. I'll be doing some work with the big backgrounds later. Not here now, but on the telly. So if we were to just paint with that, we've got a pearlescent on there, and you can barely see it on the watercolor card, but it is a pearlescent finish. So obviously when it's dry, what happens is the mica powder comes to the surface and it becomes more kind of vibrant and sparkly. So that is how you use all of the powders. But what's special about this one is that we could take, for example, let's only have one piece of card on here. So we could take, for example, a distress ink, and I've got some picked raspberry here because it just happens to be here from yesterday. So this is normal distress, this isn't distress oxide. So if we wanted to paint with that, add a little bit of water to it, and we've got some paint. Okay, so that's distress. And then if we wanted to go onto our black card, we can't see it because distress is a dye ink. Okay, but what we can do is we can take a little bit of our powder and we can mix it into our distress ink, and then we've got a lovely pearl. This isn't mixed enough actually, it's a little, you can see it's a little bit grainy, but on this card you can see it. But what you get on black card, let's get a little bit of water. On black card you get the pearlescence, but you don't get the pink because the distress is dye based ink. So you don't see the dye part, you only see the mica. So you just see the pearlescent colour. That makes sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So with the Lunar Pearl, you can take any distress ink, any dye-based ink, and you can make it pearlescent. If you want to mix it with chalk paint, chalk, it has the is dominant. So if, for example, if we took some white gesso, which is effectively like a chalk paint, isn't it? So if we just took some white gesso and just put a little bit of white gesso on there, a little bit of water, just a little bit of water just to make it movable. Then if we took one of our coloured pigments, so we'd stick with the pink sort of theme. This is Orchid Whisper. Oh, rolling bush. You need a tiny bit because I've only got a little bit there. Teeny tiny bit. Put the right top on. That's a bit too light. There we go. So you can see that's a pale pink, but when that dries, that will have no pearlescent on it. We'll have a pale pink chalk paint on here though, or we should have, because of the mica. And it's not dry yet. It will be dry soon. So obviously we've got here, you can see the pearlescence there. We can see there's no pearlescence there because that's just distress ink. We've got a pearlescence there with pink because we mix the direct distress ink with it. This is your gesso with the it's not quite dry yet, but that's the gesso with the luster, what's it called, sorry, yeah, luster powder, radiant luster powder. When that dries, that will not be pearlescent, and you can see on here that's already dry there. So we've got pearlescence there, we've got nothing there because that's just distress ink. I know we've got a little bit going on there, but that's just because there's some residue in my brush. That's pretty much the same colour as that because you can't see the distress ink, you can't see the dye on black, and there's your kind of slightly pink tinted gesso there, but no pearlescence, you've just got the tint. So that's one of the reasons that I really like the pearl. You've also got the fact that you can actually take the pearl and you could take, so we will use this one here that we've got that's slightly wet. Let's take another brush so we haven't got the gesso in there. So we've got this one here. So remember, this has got the Lunar Pearl in it. And what we could do, we could take something like this one here, which is our Lilac Bouquet, which is quite a dark purple. Yeah. We can add a little bit of that to our pearlescent. And we've got a very pale purple. Can you see in this thing here? Add a little bit more. A little bit of water. So it's getting slightly darker. So we've now made a new colour. So whatever you mix this Lunar Pearl with, it's going to make it lighter. So now we've got this beautiful pale colour. Lovely pale purple now. Can you see that? So obviously the more of the darker colour you add, you could bring in some of the other colours, you could bring in some of the reds, you can make a real concoction of colours. So now what I would do is I would write on my thingy here that I've added Lunar Pearl and Lilac Bouquet, and that's what's in there, and that's my mix that I've got in there. So obviously each time I mix in there, I could be having slightly different shades, but my current shade in there is this colour here. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of just the kind of feeling that I've got with how wonderful the Lunar Pearl is and how useful the Lunar Pearl is. So before we just kind of sign off, and you can go and get some lunch before you watch or get your lunch ready for when Karen comes on at 1 o'clock with Trudy's collection. Just wanted to show you, there is one other there's another technique I'd love to show you, if that's okay with you. Is that okay? Yeah, the palettes are on Indigo Blue website. You'll find those over there. I know Kay's got them. She's always got them. Let's just, if it's all right with you, yeah, one more technique and then I'll just show you some finished bits and pieces. But I'll show you some finished bits and pieces before we do that technique. So looking at painting, here's the same colours on black and on white card with the lovely daisies big background. So if I want to put my, where's my frame gone? Oh, frame. What have I done with my frame? My rectangular frame, it's here somewhere. I don't think this one's gonna, oh, that one will be all right. We'll have to think about this, won't we? Because my rectangular frame is a perfect size to go on there, but I've got so much stuff lying around here now that I don't seem to. Oh, there it is. I found it. So I can stop looking now. Oh, so that just about fits on my A6 frame. Isn't that wonderful? I put some gesso splats on as well. Phil will be proud. And then this one here, this is on the just the watercolor card. So it's exactly they're exactly the same colours, but they do have more of a pop on black card, and I know we're quite worried about black card sometimes. But yeah, just a selection of colours, and just use them as a paint to colour in. And I've also edged with the gold paint, just on a sponge, because you can do that around the edges as well. So that's that. So what was I going to show you? Oh yes, I know. I've forgotten already. Oh, give me its strength. I'm just hopeless. Right, so let's just quickly use a big background and then we'll be done. Right, so this is your vintage timepieces journal background, and I'm just going to use it on my A5 acrylic block. Just make sure there's no air bubbles in it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to, I do have one of these somewhere, but I don't know what, oh there it is, so I can show you a finished one as well. Right, so we're going to do a slightly different version to the one that I've got that's dry. So we're going to go for Distress Inks on, let's put those away for a minute. It's going to take me till 7 o'clock just to pack my bag, I think. Let's go for Distress Inks, and we go for oranges and reds. So let's just, I only want an A6, but I know what I'm like, so I'm actually going to put ink all over the whole thing, and I'm hoping that these are wet enough. We'll soon find out, won't we? So that's Wild Honey. Let's go for a bit of Abandoned Coral. Obviously you can use your big ones, big inks as well. This is a technique that I saw Tim do years ago, Tim Holtz, and it's amazing that these techniques that you used to do, or around years ago, are still really effective. Obviously, because they don't go out of fashion. This is a bit of Crackling Campfire, one of the newer ones. That's a bit inkier, that one. Don't forget the new Tim is announcing the new colour of Distress at 5 PM today, so have him on in the background while Karen's doing Trudy. Phil's doing Trudy at 1, isn't he? Yeah, I get mixed, honestly, there's so much going on, I get mixed up. This is a bit of Carved Pumpkin. Just want to make sure that I've got ink everywhere. Distress does generally stay open for, as in wet, for 10 minutes or so, so there's no kind of rush. I just want to make sure that I'm nicely inked. There's a bit of aged mahogany, so a bit of dark stuff going on. Let's have a quick look. It has ink on it, but whether it's got enough on, I don't know. But it doesn't matter, does it? Because you're just going to get the idea from this. It's not going to be brilliant, but you'll get the idea. Right. I am going to dust. Oh, another thing you can do with the powders is you can stamp with them as well. It's just, it's never ending, the amount of techniques that you can do with the powders. You can also stamp, I've shown you can stamp stamp with the paints as well. Right, so I'm dusting that with an anti-static bag, and all will be revealed in a minute. Yeah, watch both. Right, so normally I would probably mist this with water, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to take this and pop that. I want it up the right way. I know I can turn my card, but I want it up the right way. We're just going to pop that on there like so. And if I'd have thought about it, I would have had a piece of paper underneath, so I didn't have to clean my mat, but you know, I didn't. Give it a good old press. My squeaky desk. I do tend to do these big backgrounds on the block rather than on my stamping platform. So I actually find that sometimes when I keep on going again and again to get a certain area on the stamping platform, that I end up kind of getting a bit of a shadow. So I do actually prefer to do these like so. Right. There we go, not too bad. I've missed a bit there. It could be ink, it could be me. That will just wash off under the tap, no problem. I don't want to move that. Right, let's just tidy up. Now for the fun part, or one of the parts of fun. Okay, so now we're going to take some powders. Let's have a little bit of the Choco Oxide. No, we won't. Let's have a bit of the warm copper, not the Choco Oxide. Let's have a bit of the New Gold. In fact, let's go metallics on this one, maybe. So we have the silver as well. Yeah, let's go there. And yeah, I might not bring any more. I might just do the 3 metallics, which I think will be quite nice. Remember, I'm just tapping the top down. I think that one's quite full anyway. And the gold and the silver. Where's my brush? Get another one out. So we had a question earlier in the week about, or yesterday, do you need more than one brush? You need one brush for each colour? No, absolutely you don't. So now we're good, because Distress Day is open, what you can then do, just like Versamark, is you can just add your powder where you want it, and it's going to stick to Distress. I'm using far too much powder there. And sometimes it'll look different depending on what colour it's on. Okay, that's enough silver. Now we go for gold. Put some gold up there. That's a lovely bright gold. Let's have a bit less. So wherever you touch first, that's the colour powder that's going to sit on that particular area. Let's have a little bit of warm copper now. Down here and then there. If you think this is a bit wasteful, you're probably right, but you get so much in your pot it doesn't really matter. You can always decant your mixed powder off somewhere else and use it as a new mix. Okay, I think I've got enough on there for individual areas, and now we're obviously gonna, as we move it around on the rest of the wet ink, we're going to get a mix of colours. It's a good idea to do it on a piece of paper. Okay, right. Get rid of this. Get rid of the excess. you do end up wearing it on your glasses, and it ends up on your blind and all over the place. Okay, let's just get rid of the excess we've got on here. I'll do that properly in a minute. And I normally have my dry wet wipe, which has disappeared. Where's it gone? There it is. Cheapest wet wipe ever. Just let it dry, and I normally run that over the top to get rid of any excess. Right, you can see there's still more powder coming off. So that's where we're at now. You can see the different colours maybe through that, and that looks absolutely fantastic, lovely. But if you want to have it do something slightly different, you can then take your mister. Remember, we've put this onto Distress ink, and Distress ink reacts with water. Okay, so if you mist this with water now, obviously your card moves a little bit, but can you see that we're getting a little bit of mottling going on the image? Can you see? So what's happening now is that the Distress ink is seeping out from underneath where we put the mica powder, the luster powder, and it just leave it to settle, and sometimes it'll bleed. If you keep on going, it'll bleed more and you'll get some runs. I don't want to lose my image completely. You know, I've got a little bit of a splat going on there, so that's run a little bit, which is fine. I don't mind the odd splat, but I don't want it to run so I lose the definition of it. So that's done two things. That's bound the powder, because I've added water to it and the binder in it has reacted. But what it's also done is reacted with the Distress ink underneath, and that's really cool, really cool. So I'd leave that to dry, and I have got one in a different colourway that I can show you, which is dry, which is this one. So on this one, I've put a selection of blue Distress inks underneath, so you can see those coming underneath, and we've got the powders on top. Don't ask me what powders I put on there, because I can't remember. I think there's an olive grove, and maybe an olive rather, and I don't know what else there is. There's definitely something coppery going on in there as well. So obviously it's a little bit muted because of the fact that we've wet it, but it's another technique that you can actually do with that. So I'm going to call it a day now. Obviously there's so much more that we can do that I can show you. Tonight at 9 o'clock, when I take over from Phil in the one day special, I'll be running through some of these techniques again, but adding some more, and tomorrow I'll be doing I've got a card planned for each hour to show you how to use the techniques with each hour, and there's definitely a technique I haven't shown you during this live, and I've also, and whatever time we've got left, we do other techniques as well. So don't forget that Phil's on at 1 today with Trudy's collection, Karen's on at 2 with the one day special, Phil's on at 6 with the new Flawless Media one day special. I'm on at 9 p.m. with Techniques Hour with like this, and then tomorrow I'm on at 10 and 2, and that's the 2 is the last live hour this weekend. The products are also available on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk. Whatever I've got left, I will try and order some more, and enter code birthday10, birthday10 in the discount code box at checkout on my website, and you'll get 10% discount. I anticipate that I'll be able to start sending orders out on Thursday once I receive the stock from Sentimentally Yours. And don't forget, you can also get the products on Honeypot Crafts. So thank you very much for joining me. I know it's been a bit of a marathon, but hopefully you've enjoyed it and you've got some sort of appreciation of the potential there is with the paints and the powders that we've got, and obviously the texture medium. So I will see you this evening, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.